And we are live. Thank you guys for coming back. As you can tell, this podcast is a little bit earlier than most of them. The reason for that originally was we wanted to get some European viewers in, because it's really late in certain parts of Europe. So it's like 2, 3, 4 a.m. when it happens usually. And I was just never going to be able to get European viewers on. So I wanted to do a little bit earlier. I wanted to do it at 5 instead of 9, but I was having internet issues, so I was unable to do that. I ended up having to do it at 8 instead. It's still an hour early. It's no big deal. And I can take European viewers off air later on and put it on afterwards. But a couple of things I wanted to talk about. So I figured I'd start with music. Something in the news recently that a lot of you guys may have noticed is that Tool is actually coming out with a new album soon. And I don't know how many Tool fans I have in my audience, but I am a massive Tool fan. I'm not an elitist, so I don't think that you have to be smart to listen to Tool, or anybody that doesn't listen to it is stupid or something like that. I hear a lot of that. It's not like that. I just really like Tool a lot. It's one of my favorite bands. So I'm pretty excited about that because it's been 10 years or over 10 years since they released an album. Their last album release was called 10,000 Days, and it was in 2006. So 12 years ago, 13 years ago, basically. So we got word that the singer, Maynard James Keenan, he tweeted that he was going to be releasing the new album this year. It's pretty exciting. I was looking up tour dates and everything. I'm definitely planning on going to a concert. They've got some going on in... excuse me. They've got some concerts going on in Florida, in North Carolina, and Illinois in May, with some pretty interesting bands, too. They've got Incubus, Korn, System of a Down. Some other bands will be playing with them in various locations. So I'm pretty excited about that. Hoping I get to go to a concert, because honestly, this may be their last album. This may be their last tour. Maynard is in his 50s now, the singer. So who knows? But yeah, a lot of people wonder, like, how did I get into Tool, having been a Jehovah's Witness growing up, right? And the answer to that is my brother. This band is not super great for Jehovah's Witnesses. I don't know of any other Jehovah's Witness that grew up with me, like from my Kingdom Hall, that listened to Tool. Like, none of them did. Or A Perfect Circle, or Pussifer, or any of the other bands that Maynard sings for. They wouldn't even listen to, like, Incubus because of the name, just because of the name. That is just over the top. That is such a vanilla band. Like, they're so chill and cool, and they almost never swear in their music. They're not hard rock. They're not heavy metal. They're just, I don't know. That band is so chill, and Jehovah's Witnesses won't listen to them, or at least my hall wouldn't, because of the name, Incubus. So, anyways, my brother listened to Tool, actually, when I was, I think, 12 or somewhere in there. He was 18, and he was getting married, and his wife at the time, or fiance or whatever, she listened to Tool. And she introduced me to their album. I don't know how to pronounce it. I shouldn't even try, but I'm going to anyways. I think it's called Anima. And it's... I actually grew up calling it Anima, but anyway, it's kind of confusing to switch now. But yeah, I grew up listening to that album, and eventually I listened to Lateralis, and then I listened to 10,000 Days. And it's got just a really deep meaning to all of the songs. They all have such a deep meaning behind them. I just love the band, so that's pretty exciting news to me. But yeah, I listened to a lot of Tool. Now that album, Anima, I guess, is how you pronounce it. It's pretty heavy. It's one of their heavier albums. I think the only heavier album that they have is called Undertow, and it was right before Anima. And, you know, Anima was kind of the first one I listened to, so I only listened to a couple songs from Undertow. Not a huge fan of that album, really. But after listening to that, I got into some heavier stuff. I listened to a lot of Metallica and Pantera, and all of this was, of course, without my parents' knowledge. They were not supposed to know that I was listening to this stuff. They got pretty persnickety about it, but honestly, I had a computer. What were they going to do? They tried taking the computer away, but it's just not easy to do with a teenager. It's hard to enforce, honestly. I also listened to some Godsmack and things like that, surprisingly. It's kind of a little bit of a rebellious teenager at one point, but anyways, yeah, big fan of Metallica, big fan of Pantera, big fan of Megadeth. Really liked Megadeth back in the day. Some of you may actually know that the singer of Megadeth went from being the guitarist for Metallica, which, by the way, he's a killer guitarist. Dave Mustaine is his name. So he ended up getting fired or quitting Metallica or something, starting the band Megadeth. And it turns out he's an ex-Jehovah's Witness, too. Dave Mustaine is. Over time, I think in the 2000s, his music started really going downhill, in my opinion. And as he became more Christian, he got really, really super Christian. Like non-Jehovah's Witness. I don't even know what he was, Baptist or something. But, he incorporated Jesus into his music and everything. It really sucks, man. Really sucks that happened to the music, because it was just really fantastic. Listened to a lot of Black Sabbath too, and things like that, but my parents definitely warned against Black Sabbath, which is funny because they both listened to Black Sabbath in the 60s, being hippies. My dad was a big fan of Black Sabbath, but they warned, I mean, my mom especially, she warned against it. She said it was music from Satan and everything else. My dad didn't really enforce the no Black Sabbath rule, but yeah, he did enforce a lot of other rules about music. Anyway, music has always played a really big part in my life because, you know, no matter what, I've always had music there. It's always been there. And I've always found a way to listen to the music that I liked. No matter what, I always found a way. No matter how forbidden it was, I always found a way to listen to it. So it did play a big part in my life, for sure. But yeah, I figured there was something else I wanted to talk about before we get into guests. So if you guys are watching, or if you guys are on the Discord listening to me talk, what you're going to want to do is go to the live stream on YouTube and listen, because I'm going to be watching a video. The video I have here is Scientology's Indoctrination video, basically. So when I play the video, you guys on Discord are not going to be able to hear it unless you're watching the live stream. It's just going to be dead silence. So, to give you a little background on this video, it's Tom Cruise. And I just about guarantee I'm going to get a copyright strike for it because I have music playing in the background. It's fine. I'll figure it out. But it'll be worth it to hear the guy talk. I thought about it before actually starting the podcast, because I had the option of just writing down what he says and then reading it to you guys so you can get a feel for what he was saying. And that would avoid the copyright strike problem. But sometimes I feel like it's necessary to watch the video, to hear the inflections in his voice, to look at his eyes and how they light up when he says certain things. It's important to get the full effect from it. Copyright strike or not, sometimes I feel like it's necessary to watch the video in its entirety. Just like the Heaven's Gate video that I played a few Sundays ago. I got Content ID. I got hit with the Content ID system on the Heaven's Gate one, but it was worth it to see how he talks to his audience, how he addresses